Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'd like to compare Devil May Cry on the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 in terms of VRR, verbal refresh rate, and I was a little bit surprised about the outcome. Okay, so before we start, let me explain a couple of things. First of all, I have recorded all my footage. What are you going to see off my screen? Okay, so I haven't used any capturing card because my capturing card is not capable of recording VRR frames, okay, or verbal refresh rate. Okay, it's not possible at the moment with my capturing card. That's why all the footage what you are going to see is recorded with my Panasonic GH5S, which is not a bad camera, but it is very hard, of course, to capture stuff like that. Okay, anyway, I did my very best. So keep in mind that how should I say, not all the stuttering what you can see on your screen is on my screen as well. The problem is I'm recording with 60 frames per second, but if a game runs with 70 frames per second, or let's say 90 or 50, you will see minor stuttering on your screen because it is not synced anymore. Okay, so keep this in mind. Okay, I did my very best, but it is always very hard to record off screen. Without any further ado, I would say we're jumping straight in and we're starting to compare PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. And again, I was very surprised about the outcome because I was not expecting this actually, but you know what? Let's jump straight in. Okay, so let's start with the PlayStation 5 version, and before we starting, I'd like to show you something. Let me bring up this menu. You can see right now we are in the fixed 60 Hz mode because there's no VRR software or application running at the moment. That's why we are in the fixed mode. So, and what you can see here, VRR is set to automatic, apply to unsupported games is off. Okay, I will leave this off. HDR is off, by the way. I'm not recording anything in HDR right now because there's no point to do. We're talking about verbal refresh rate. So when I'm starting the game, let's have a look what the VRR information is doing. It is changing to VRR 60 Hz at the moment, but that's not a big problem because now we have actually 120 Hz. So even I have selected or not selected apply for unsupported games, this game jumps into VRR automatically. And I'm not aware of any update or any patch to this game so far. I checked Google, but I couldn't find any information for any patch to VRR. But again, I like to make this clear. I don't think that we need actually an update to get VRR really working. It should work on every game, but I found a couple of things and I will explain this to you later, especially what I found with the Xbox version. But right now let's focus on the PlayStation 5 version, and as you can see right now, VRR information, we have changing values, and that's a very good sign because that means that the display refresh rate is actually right now doing or adjusting to the frames per second from the game, and this is a very good sign. So I would actually say we're starting with the high frame rate mode. This is of course mandatory because otherwise when you change this to off and you go out, then the game will change back to 60 FPS, and we don't want this. We of course like to have the best possible outcome, and that's why we're using high frame rate mode on and ray tracing on graphics. Okay, so let's close this menu and you will see that the display is changing back into the 120 Hz mode, and we're just going to continue. And I have seen a lot of VRR flickering during loading times or loading screens actually on the PlayStation 5, and also on the Xbox Series of course, and on my PC, but not during gameplay. Okay, so keep this in mind. On my LG CX I can clearly see VRR flickering during loading screens, but not doing actual gameplay. Okay, so let's have a look on VRR. Let's have a look on the VRR information. You can see actually that you're having a frame rate around 55, 60 something frames per second. And this is the first thing what I don't understand, why we have actually such a very unstable frame rate. But anyway, VRR mode in this game, or right now in this graphic mode, is actually working as it should be. But there is unfortunately a lot of stuttering, because sometimes, I hope you can see this, we're falling below 48 frames per second, and then we're going back into these in the 118 Hertz mode, which means that VRR is actually disabled at this very moment. And you can clearly see this right now. There's a lot of 118 right now, or 70, but you can hopefully see there's a lot of stuttering at the moment on the screen. So not very playable in my opinion. And here as well, sometimes it's very smooth and then it starts stuttering again. And you can see it on the information, VRR information, actually 49, 50 something, and as soon we're going below 48, it will jump out of the VRR mode because it's out of range, and then we're having actually stuttering again. Here you can clearly see 50 frames per second, 48, and then suddenly 118. It is just not enough frames per second anymore to keep the TV actually in the VRR range. But anyway, we have more graphic modes. So let's just quit this game here, because unfortunately we have to quit it to change the options or the graphic mode. Let's jump here and we trying performance mode. And thanks to the very fast loading times here, it's not a big deal. So, and now, as you can see, we have suddenly 80 frames per second. And the gameplay is much better, but still I can see stuttering from time to time. So what I think is also happening, we have maybe a little bit issues with frame times. Maybe it is not perfect in terms of frame times and stuff like that, because even when we're talking about 80 frames per second at the moment, I have very minor stuttering, especially when we look out the door here. So it's nice here actually, but still very minor stuttering, but it's getting a little bit heavier when we're looking outside the door. So let's jump up here and let's watch this movie sequence again. And this time you can see we have actually 30 frames per second more. We are not going into the 118 Hertz mode. That means VRR is working the whole time, and I clearly can see this. There's really, during this movie sequence, no stuttering. It's really nice, but unfortunately this micro stuttering what I'm experiencing here in this mode is just a little bit annoying, because there is no reason for it in my opinion, because you can see the frames per second are actually It's very weird actually, because I don't understand why we're having such a big range. Let's just stay here in the corner. Let's just bring this menu up again. Can you see this? We're jumping from 100 to 70. So this is not quite right, because I would expect actually a very stable frame rate when we're just looking in one direction and nothing is happening, you know what I mean? But this is such a wide range. I don't know what is happening actually. But again, this graphic mode offers higher frame rate, but still micro stuttering. So let's move on to the last one, because we have on the PlayStation 5, as on the Xbox Series X as well, we have a 120 FPS mode. And that's this one, which by the way looks to me the best, to be very honest, because it has a higher resolution than the performance mode. And as you can see right now, actually there is no stuttering, and it's not because we have perfect 120 FPS. It is actually because at some point I found that there is a, here can you see we're actually below 120 Hertz when I'm doing this here. Oh, it's very good optimized, this game. Can you see this now? But there is no stuttering. So now we have not 120 FPS. We're talking about 100, maybe a little bit less, but I can't see any stuttering on the screen. I have to say the game is really well optimized for 120 FPS, because in most of the cases the game is actually really 120 FPS. Just in very high demanding scenes. Let's jump up to the Now let's go to the movie sequence here. Oh, it plays so much better in this mode. So let's have a look here. 1890 frames per second. No stuttering at all. Very smooth gameplay. Absolutely perfect. That's what I like to have. And I desperately looking forward for my new TV, because I need a game bar, because this VRR information here is driving me crazy. And I have to admit, I really don't trust this information that much, because can you see here? 115 frames per second. There's no stuttering here, not a single stuttering. This is so crazy. But again, I'm looking forward to get a new TV. Not sure which one, but it will be a QD OLED TV for sure. If it is the S95P, that's fine. If it is the Sony, let's see, I have to save a little bit longer, but that's how it is. I'm going for a QD OLED and not for WRGB this time. Anyway, this is PlayStation 5 at the moment. Out of 3 graphic modes, we have one graphic option which is absolutely to recommend. The other two, unfortunately, even with VRR enabling or enabled, are suffering from a lot of stuttering. So let's start with ray tracing on, and high frame rate mode is also on. So let's try this one, and yeah, I can spoiler already. VRR is not working at all on the Xbox Series X, and not a single graphic option. And yeah, even VRR is activated, as you can see on the right bottom corner on the VRR information, but you also can hopefully see that VRR, their value is not changing at all. And what I can see on my screen at the moment is the game is just stuttering in this mode like crazy. It is not a very nice experience at the moment. I hope you can see this on your screen, but this is not playable in my opinion. Absolutely choppy and stuttering. So let's just jump into a different graphic mode, just to prove a point that it is really not working in any. So let's try the performance. Let's continue. Okay, here we are again, performance mode. This time we have a little bit more frames, but I think you can see it on your screen that there is heavy stuttering. And VRR, the information is, or the value is not changing at all, not at all. So can you see this? In my opinion, not really playable. Okay, but we have one option left, or graphic mode actually. And that's the 120 FPS mode on the Xbox Series X. And yeah, again, spoiler alert, it is also stuttering. So we have 118 Hertz at the moment, as you can see. And in most of the parts, the game runs absolutely great. There's no stuttering at all. Let me bring up the menu again. Here we are. But I think you can see it on the screen. As soon as we're looking outside the door, you have stuttering again. So VRR is not working at all in Devil May Cry on the Xbox Series X. So far, the PlayStation 5 version delivers a better experience. Okay, so what is now my conclusion after I compared Xbox version, Xbox Series X version and the PlayStation 5 version? So first of all, we have now proof that even VRR is enabled on the Xbox Series X in any game, because you can set this by default in the menu. That doesn't mean that VRR is actually working, because many people claiming that VRR is working on any game. And this is just not true, okay? This is one example, and there are more examples out there, okay? But anyway, this is just what I found with Devil May Cry 5, and I'm very sure they can actually change this behavior on the Xbox Series X as well, because I think that or let's say like this, I read on the internet, and don't trust everything, okay, on the internet or on Google, but apparently you can disable VRR on the GPU side. That means if, let's say, Devil May Cry does not support VRR from driver side, has nothing to do with Xbox or the TV or stuff like that, that means it is not working. But this also means it is very easy fixable, okay? And especially for a game like this, you need actually a very fluent and nice gameplay. So far, the Xbox Series X version in Devil May Cry 5 is not to recommend actually if you own a PlayStation 5 and are capable or VRR capable screen. But there are also problems with the PlayStation 5 version because there's just one graphic mode, and don't get me wrong, the graphic mode actually which is working just perfectly is actually the best one in my opinion, because I like to have frame rates over 100 FPS is on this screen, on the LG CX, it's just a dream. It's so much better than 50-60 FPS, but that's my opinion. But they need to fix the other graphic modes as well, because VRR is working, or at least I can see something is changing in terms of the VRR information on my LG CX, and I would just assume it is working. But we have micro stuttering, sometimes very minor micro stuttering, and sometimes very heavy stuttering. So I'm not quite sure what's going on here. But again, the good news is if you own a PlayStation 5 and you have a capable VRR screen, then Devil May Cry 5 is the best experience on the PlayStation 5. At the moment, I can't recommend the Xbox Series X version. Okay, my friends, so that's it for this video, and I will do more content about this topic, around this topic, VRR on the PlayStation 5, and also, of course, I will compare to the Xbox Series X version in certain games where we can actually compare it, okay? So make sure you like and share, and of course you subscribe to my channel. I would much appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching me. I see you guys next time. Bye.